Hey vinyl community, Cindy here at Mama Bear Vinyl, and I am sharing week 4 of my 50 album challenge. My week 4 ran a little long, more like a week and a half, and sorry about that. If anybody was waiting on the edge of their seat to watch this video. So I'm just going to jump right into it and share the 10 albums that I listened for week 4 of the 50 album challenge. So the first album I listened to was the Standells' Dirty Water. And this one, of course, has their hit Dirty Water on it. This is a reissue. So the original album, I don't know when the original album came out. Like the late 60s, maybe 66, 67. But this is a reissue. It's really good. This is great garage rock. And I really enjoyed it. There's some great songs on here. Hey Joe, Where You Gonna Go? They do a cover of Batman and Little Sally Tease. They cover the Rolling Stones' 19th Nervous Breakdown. So a really solid 60s kind of garage rock. This was a great spin. So the next album I haven't listened to in a while, but this is this album has some of my all-time favorite songs on it. So it's Tommy James and the Shondells, and this is their Crimson and Clover album from 1969. And of course it has the hit Crimson and Clover on it, which I love. I just love that song. And it was covered by, of course, Joan Jett, Jimmy Eat World feature it in one of their songs. Also like Elliott Smith. So there's a number of fans of this song where it's kind of been covered or revamped in another song. Also has Crystal Blue Persuasion on here. Just awesome, kind of just great classic rock. There's some psych elements in here. Like there's that song, I Am a Tangerine. Hello, banana, I'm a tangerine. So this is a great, great album. I don't think I've really seen anybody feature any Tommy James, but it was a wonderful, wonderful listen. So the third album is a favorite band of mine from back in the 80s, early 90s, and that's the Smithereens. And this is the Smithereens 11. I believe this was their fourth album, and this came out in 89. Lots of great songs on here. I think the big one was A Girl Like You. But Cut Flowers is on here, Blue Period, Before and After. Smithereens, kind of a pop rock, alt rock type band, and just really solid. I'm a big fan of the Smithereens. And the next one I saw featured on another channel. Miss Lady Soul had listened to this album, and luckily Discogs automatically randomly chose this one for me too. And this is Corey Hart's debut album, First Offense. And this one came out in 1983. And of course it has the big hit on here, Sunglasses at Night. Of course, this is my original. I have the first and second album by Corey Hart. I was a big fan of Corey Hart back in the day. And so this was a fun listen. It's just kind of a so-so album. Of course it has the big hit Sunglasses at Night. She Got the Radio, At the Dance. So there's some good songs on here, but I mean, nothing to really write home about, but a great fun 80s album. So This week I let Discogs choose my music using the randomizer, and it chose albums. So I did that for 9 albums, but one of the albums, another VCer, Bill at the Vinylverse, he's doing a 50 album challenge too, and one of the records he was going to listen to this week was the Monkees' first album. And I'm kind of a Monkees fan, so I had mentioned, maybe I should listen to one of my Monkees albums I haven't listened to in a while. So, one of the albums I did choose myself. I went ahead and went with More of the Monkees, which was their third album from '67. And this is totally roached. I do have a second copy of this album, which I did listen to the second copy, not this actual one. This was actually my mom's record back when she was in high school that she had bought. And as a little girl, I really loved the Monkees. They had like a TV show, which many of you might have remembered, but kind of in the late 70s, like 76, 77, 78. They had reruns of the Monkees show. And so I used to like watching that. And so I became a big Monkees fan because of that show. And if you look closely, you can see like these must have been my favorite songs I underlined here. Your Auntie Griselda, Not Your Stepping Stone, I'm a Believer. I wrote I Love You, made some crazy little, I don't know what that is. And then over here, I added songs that weren't on here. Like Take a Giant Step and Last Train from Clarksville. Those must have been some favorites of mine. That was very disappointing we're not on this album. So I just really enjoyed listening to this. It like took me back to when I was a kid, and I remember watching the show. A quick little story. So the Monkees, it came on in like the afternoon, like 4 p.m. But on another channel, Batman came on. So the TV show Batman was in reruns. And my brother, my younger brother, he loved Batman. So it was always the two of us were fighting over who gets the channel. And so, 1 week was the Monkees, my mom said, and 1 week was Batman. And so, that's how she settled that. But just really great. Totally enjoyed this. Just a really great spin. My next album was Joe Cocker's debut album, With a Little Help from My Friends. One of my favorite covers. I just love this cover. It is so awesome. So very good. This is just a great album. Great kind of just classic rock on it. Of course, it has A Little Help from My Friends, the Beatles cover. But it also has Feeling All Right, Change in Louise, has Bob Dylan's Just Like a Woman and I Shall Be Released. Just a really solid album. I enjoy Joe Cocker's earlier stuff, and I'm just really a fan of this album. Later stuff, I think it just gets overplayed on the radio some, but this album I haven't spun in a while, and it was just really enjoyable. Really great album. So finally, in my Discogs randomizer, I do have lots of Beatles albums, and this week one popped up, and it's one I haven't listened to in quite a while, and that's the Beatles, Yesterday and Today. And here we go. Here's some of the songs on there. And this was their 66 release. This was their reissue on Apple. So this was 1971 reissue. And of course, this record belonged to Eric. In like 90 or 91, my best friend, and we're still best friends. We've been best friends since, I don't know, like 14, 15. She bought me like a collection of Beatles albums, used ones, and there is probably like, I don't know, like 10 different Beatles albums in there. And of course, all of them belong to Eric. So, Eric, wherever you are out there, thank you for your Beatles collection. I've taken good care of them for for the last 30 years. So, thank you. So, this is a really good album. Has Drive My Car, Nowhere Man, Yesterday, one of my favorites, And Your Bird Can't Sing, of course, Day Tripper. And I love it. Also has Dr. Robert on there. So if you're watching Rob Walker, here's your theme song here, Dr. Robert. So actually, there's a band, the Blow Monkeys, and the lead singer of that band, he renamed himself Dr. Robert. So anyway, that's where that comes from. So a great album, The Beatles, Yesterday and Today. And next up, we kind of headed down into the 80s. So this is Van Halen OU812, featuring Mr. Sammy Hagar here. Just a really good album. This was my original album. I think this album came out in 88. So a really great album, in pretty good shape still. And just some really good songs on here. Black and Blue, Cabo Wabo, Feel So Good, Mine Oh Mine. It's just When It's Love. Just so many great songs on here. So I was thinking this album came out my senior year in high school, but it didn't. So I don't know. When I think of this album, I guess it's like my first year in college, but really great album. So the next album is 1986, Cinderella Night Songs. So this is a great, they're kind of like glam, like hard rock. I've heard them called heavy metal, but I don't really think of Cinderella as heavy metal. At least not this album. Some really great songs on here. Night Songs, Shake Me, Hell on Wheels, Back Home Again. So some really great songs. Also, Eric here, I so wanted that hair back in 1986, but I could use a bottle of Aquanet and my hair would never get that high. So, but great album. Really enjoyed this. I just like a variety of music. And so I listen to a lot of pop and rock and synth and new wave. But you know what? A good rock album is a good rock album. So Cinderella Night Songs. And my final album this week that I listened to is really great soundtrack, and that's Some Kind of Wonderful. And this was a John Hughes movie, came out in 1987. Some really great songs on here. One of my, let me see, has Flesh for Lulu, but March Violets. So March Violets, I think they were like a British band. Turn to the Sky and Miss Amanda Jones. Of course, Miss Amanda Jones was written by Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, but anyway, the March Violets did it, and such a great song. So some really great 80s music on here, and I love how like John Hughes, he didn't necessarily use mainstream music in his movies, and it's just really great. There's great songs on here, so really enjoyed listening to this. So that's it for my week 4 recap of the 50 album challenge. And next week I'll be finishing up my 50 album challenge with the last 10 records. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who watches this video or watch my other videos. Please leave a comment. I love the interaction. That's really why I'm doing this. I'm really not providing any great content per se, but I really enjoy talking about, you know, records and music and just sharing that with like-minded people. So thank you for tuning in. I will see you on the flip side. I hope everyone has a great week.